Hello everyone, today I'm going to talk about homework 4. First is homework question 1. Question 1 is giving us that such a following information. When x less than 0, y equals to 2. When x is between 0 and 1, y equals to 0. When x is between 1 and 2, y equals to minus x plus 1. And when x larger than 2, y equals to minus 1, so we can draw this diagram. We can observe that y is distributed in some important ranges. We can divide it into 4 parts of them. The first one is when y equals to minus 1, we can see that if x is larger than 2, y is equal to minus 1. So we have to calculate the probability that x is larger than 2, and that equals to 1 minus the distribution function of x2. The second range is that y is equals to 0. We can see that when x is between 0 and 1, it meets the requirement. So the probability of 0 to 1 can be written as a distribution function of x1 minus distribution function of x equals to 0. The third one is that y is equal to 2. We can know that when x is less than 0, we can make it. So we have to calculate the probability of x is less than 0, so we can write it as a distribution function of fx0. The fourth one is that y is between minus 1 and 0 and is a linear function. Y is equals to minus x plus 1, and we can use the equation to calculate, and the density function to calculate it. So when we get the results, we can write the fy, the density function of fy. We can just put the information into this equation and we can get the result. So if we want to calculate the distribution function of fy, we just make an integral of density function fy according to y. So we can get the result. And another requirement for us is to draw the diagram of density function of fy and distribution function of fy. The question is giving us that if that density function of fx is like that, and we can easily draw that the distribution function of fx is like this. So we can, based on these two diagrams, to draw the we want. So firstly, we can draw that the density function fy. So when y is equals to minus 1, it should have impulse response, right? And its amplitude is equals to 1 minus distribution function fx equals 2. And between minus 1 to 0 is the density function of fx. So we can just replace the part, copy and place the part of fx into this diagram. So when y equals to 0, is an impulse function of fx of the distributive function of fx. So we can easily copy this part into this form. And when y equals to 2 is still an impulse response, and the amplitude is distributive function fx when x equals to 0. And the next part is to calculate the distributive function of fy. When y less than -1 is equals to 0, and when y is between -1 to 0, it equals to 1 minus big fx, 1 minus y. And when y equals to 0 and 2, it equals to 1 minus density function, distributive function fx when x equals to 0. And when y is larger than 2, the amplitude is equals to 1. So that's the question 1. So I will upload the next video in the near future. Thank you.